Hi, good evening. My name is Stacy Schatzer. I'm here in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and I'm going to present to you my research paper, which is on globalization, using Lenovo as an example, and also discussing emerging markets. This is a short outline of what I'm going to present to you tonight and how my paper flows. In my introduction, I go back about 400 years to talk about the Indians, then use Lenovo as an example, talk about the company's growth and their future, look at globalization, what the good and the bad is, and also take a look at emerging markets and have some concluding statements. So the Powhatan Indians came, were on our eastern seaboard, and the European settlers came about late 1500s, early 1600s, and that's when trade began. The Indians could provide everything that they needed for themselves. They could make their own clothing, make their housing, make tools that they needed, the weapons that they needed for hunting, grow their own foods, gardens. If each Indian family had at least one adult male and one adult female, they could produce everything that they needed to for that family unit. Between the one adult male and the one female, they had the skills that they needed to do everything that I just mentioned before. Make their home, make their food, clothing, tools, utensils, hunting, growing, they could do it all. So what if the Powhatan Indians practiced specialization instead of duplication? There were about 30 Indian tribes on our eastern seaboard in the area that we refer to as the Commonwealth of Virginia now. And what if those 30 tribes specialized in individual products or services? So that's what we're going to talk about, and we've talked about it a little bit in class before. Globalization is the development of an increasingly integrated global economy marked especially by free trade, free flow of capital, and the tapping of cheaper foreign labor markets. So I said I was going to focus on Lenovo. Lenovo's interest is interesting to me. My husband works for Lenovo over in Morrisville, North Carolina. This is their logo, and this is just a screenshot from their homepage. And I'm going to talk a little bit about them. The founder is, I'm going to try to pronounce this correctly, Nu Chenwan Zi. He is also commonly referred to as Chairman Lu, and he started the company in 1984 with 10 other researchers. Today there are more than 26,000 employees in the company in over 60 countries. In 2004, Lenovo entered into an agreement with IBM to purchase their PC division. IBM actually approached Lenovo back in 2002, but the PC division was losing money at that time. So Lenovo wanted to hold off and see if the company could turn things around and be a moneymaker again, and they did. And so in 2004, Lenovo entered into an agreement with IBM to take over their PC division. It is referred to as an acquisition, but it's not your traditional acquisition. It wasn't a straight out purchase. There was an agreement between the two companies, and in addition to Lenovo taking on the IBM brand ThinkPad, they also took on some of IBM's top executives to help with the transfer and to help Lenovo to get established here in the U.S. market. The company's main speaking language is actually English. So like I said, my husband works for the company. He does not speak Mandarin. He does not have those skills, but all of the Chinese that he works with do speak English. So in China, they are number one. They're the number one PC provider in China, and they also provide a lot of other products. I have them here. The Lay phone, they also have smartphones. They have an all-in-one which is the computer unit. Just looks like a desktop unit, but all of the components, the PC is actually in that unit. A multimedia with remote, and also their lay pad. So they are actually staying up with the new technology with all of the iPad device-like computers. After the purchase of IBM, Lenovo bought Medion AG, which is a German computer maker. They've also purchased the Japanese NEC Corporation. Both of those were last year. This year they have acquired Stoneware, which is a cloud computing company. They sync data between devices and networks. This year they overtook Apple in the smartphone sales in China during the second quarter, and they're also planning to unveil 40 new smartphones this spring in April. They will also complete their purchase of CCE, which is a leader in Brazil consumer electronics. And the future of Lenovo is more mobile devices, expanding cloud computing. I have big data on here. That is what the Chinese refer to as cloud computing. They call that big data. And they also have intentions to move into the internet TV market. So proponents of globalization say that it's lifting third world economies, it's bringing families out of poverty, and it's allowing us to connect with one another, allowing everyone to be able to have the opportunity to connect. Those who are against it say that it's exploiting the poor, it's unfair takeover of property for growth, and I hope you can see this clip art here. I thought it was fitting for the John Stossel video that we watched the other night, talking about eminent domain and the takeover of individuals' properties. And those who are against it say that it helps criminals and terrorists. And so as we've opened up our borders to products and services, that has also opened up our borders to people as well. So emerging markets. They are markets in less developed countries whose economies are just beginning to grow. There are several of them listed here in this visual. Turkey, Poland, Mexico, Brazil, South America, India, South Korea, Taiwan. Goldman Sachs actually has a fund that they call BRIC, and BRIC stands for Brazil, Russia, India, and China. And then there's many other investors that say that that is short-sighted, that there are so many other countries that have emerging markets, that to just focus on those four is short-sighted. They note that Egypt was up 30% through September, and Turkey was up more than 60%. So one of the Fidelity funds, the Emerging Markets Discovery Fund, includes all of these countries. There are 17 countries that they have in this Emerging Market Fund of Fidelity's. So emerging markets, what does it mean? I've got a couple of quotes here. Just as the Industrial Revolution turned American companies from imitators into innovators, emerging market multinationals will do the same. And then I like this one here. It won't be long before the biggest companies you never heard of become household names. And here are a couple of examples of those. The Taiwanese High-Tech Computer Corporation, HTC. I'm sure many of you have heard of HTC. They have invented products that have been sold to HP, Palm, Verizon, and Vodafone. When I found their logo, I found several logos, but this one I thought was fitting, where they have quietly brilliant on there. The whole talk of emerging markets are going to be companies like this that we haven't heard much about because they've been selling their products to these bigger names that we're very familiar with. But they are they have the products, they have the knowledge and the research and development, and they have the products, and very soon we're going to see them on that world platform. South Korea's Samsung is better recognized than Japan's Sony, and they have exceeded profits of Dell, Motorola, Nokia, and Philips. Mexico's Cemex is the largest cement company in the U.S., the second largest in the UK, and the third largest in the world. And you know, it's companies like this that are from emerging markets. This is a Mexico-based company, but they have more than 26,000 employees in the United States. So just to conclude, globalization is here to stay. Just as everything else, there are positives and negatives. More and more companies like HTC, Samsung, and Cemex will continue to push to the top of their markets. Mega companies are brewing up in emerging markets like Lenovo, and the landscape of the global marketplace will drastically change over the next 10 to 15 years. And thank you.